Thank you all so much for coming. Big thanks, first of all, to Epic and Unreal for having me here on the stage. This is really exciting for me and for the company, and I've had an awesome week meeting a lot of you, going to a lot of panels, so this has been awesome. Thank you. My name is Nick Campbell. I'm the founder of Greyscalegorilla, and we've been making high-quality 3D assets and tools for the 3D community for over a decade now. And we really focus on high-quality 3D materials, lighting, textures, surface imperfections, HDRIs, gobos, a bunch of fun stuff to help you guys make beautiful renders and also work fast so that your whole life's not spent behind the computer making stuff from scratch, and that you can actually maybe live a little bit of a life beyond the screens. Maybe pet the dog once in a while. So that's our goal. We're on a mission, and we want to help make 3D beautiful. And we think of ourselves as helping artists and empowering you guys to do your best work. And a big part of that over the last couple years has been our 3D asset library. So we have over 4,000 curated 3D assets. The team's been so hard at work creating a whole library for you guys to search, find what you're looking for, apply it to your next scene. And the team really focuses on bringing all the fine little details. We have a whole capture system that we've been working on for quite a few years that captures every last little scratch and dent and detail and reflection and brings it into 3D. And we create, obviously, textures, really focus on the photoreal, but also some of the fun stuff as well. And if you're in motion design, quick poll, who would call themselves in motion design? Awesome, thank you. I love this stuff. So a lot of motion design, we're gonna talk about that in a second, is also not all photoreal. It's very fun, it's very surreal. It could be all over the place, so we also have a ton of that as well. We're also really well known for our lighting, specifically studio lighting. So a lot of HDRIs are typically kind of your outdoor typical stuff. We really focus in on studio lighting and lighting that really helps sculpt shadows and bring out the most of your models. So that's a lot of HDRIs as well that really work well with reflections. And of course, recently, this trend's been going around, and this has been super fun for us. We have these animated gobos that have been huge. Our customers have been using the heck out of these. This looks super popular, obviously, and it just looks awesome. So this stuff's been really fun. We also have surface imperfections. Of course, the world's not perfect. You need to make it a little bit messed up sometimes. So our surface imperfections help make things look a little bit messed up, just like the real world is. That's okay. Things can be a little messed up. We love when our customers give us feedback and let us know how we're helping them. Got this great quote from Dan. He said, "Greyscalegorilla saves me hours a day." Again, that comes back to our mission in helping save time. And as artists, a lot of us worked in production. We worked as motion designers, worked on TV commercials, title sequences, and we really created what we wish we had when we were doing this stuff for a living, so that we didn't have to start from scratch and have instant access to a beautiful library. So you saw it on the title of the talk, talking about motion design. And for those of you familiar with motion design, you probably know it's hard to describe sometimes. Sometimes it's easier to just point at a TV during a football game or with the commercials playing than it is to try to actually use your words. So I'm going to try to do the same thing. I have a very broad definition of motion design, and so hopefully this kind of jives with what you guys see. And if you're not familiar with motion design, it's a lot of the stuff that's not games that you've been seeing around here lately at Unreal Fest. So what is motion design? So it can look really fun and pillowy and abstract and help sell products like couches and cushions and mattresses. It could be very fun and soft and beautiful. It can also be very photoreal and show off the interiors of homes, hotel lobbies, ArcViz, those types of things. These are all set in motion and often trying to sell concepts before they're built, so a lot of previs. Motion design can combine things together. Here we have some abstract shapes, and they're also thrown in this beautiful environment. So motion design can combine a lot of this stuff together. I'm sure you've seen a lot of broadcasts here at Unreal Fest. This is very popular, of course, for sporting and news events, things like that. I'm sure you've seen this. In fact, I had to grab this reel from Andy after his presentation. This is all created in Unreal, and it is a lot of broadcast, live, real-time playback of this type of look. This is, man, classic motion design, motion graphics, some people call it as well. So whatever this company decides to do with these goggles and the experiences that we have inside of these goggles and other companies that make goggles can be motion design, AR, XR, VR. Of course, there's gaming. Of course, there's other experiences. But a lot of this has motion design built right into it. It could also be virtual sets, set extensions. In this scene, this was beautiful. This is all Unreal Engine. And it combines real life with volumes, with motion design, and abstract shapes. It could be interactive. This is, I love this piece. This artist has been kind of combining gaming engines, obviously, using Unreal here, along with controllers like MIDI controllers, Xbox controllers, and combining motion design with gaming to create an interactive world where you can take traditional motion design and control it in real time. This has been really fun to see. Of course, products is a huge part of motion design, is displaying products in a beautiful way and showing off either the product they want you to buy on a commercial or even exploding it out and showing you all the details and what these things do. So I'm sure you've seen things like this. And then, of course, I'm in Detroit, so automotive is such a huge part of it. Again, this is where the lines blur. Some people separate this out from motion design, but there's always a combination, especially when you talk about dashboards, interactivity, things bleeping and radiating, interactivity, all that stuff falls under the label of motion design. So motion design could also be fun and cartoony. There's a lot of overlap as well with traditional animation and motion design. And it can be crafty and fun and small. I often describe motion design as all this stuff that is a little bit smaller. It's like filmed in a studio, in a 3D studio, and then everything else is sometimes a little bit bigger. But it could also be big. A lot of us have seen the Sphere and all the animations, all the giant animations that need to fill up this new display. So it's not just always a bunch of rectangles. Motion design, especially if you've walked around Vegas recently, can be on many different shapes, many different experiences, and people are expected to fill this up with more than just photos and typical video. So who all saw the images from inside the Sphere as well, right? That came out a couple days ago. Beautiful motion design, a lot of that stuff, giving you an experience that isn't just filmed from a camera, it's animation, it's everything. So if you're in motion design, thank you for those of you who raised your hand. You all know this industry moves fast, the tools change fast, and nothing's been more true than in the last few years. So I wanted to tell a quick story about a little bit of the history of motion design and some of the tools that traditionally, especially in 3D motion design, that have been changing over the years. So let's go back. The year was 2003. And I had bigger hair, and I still wore yellow t-shirts, so that's good. Still got that. And Finding Nemo was out in the theaters, and 3D was expensive. To do motion design, especially in 3D, it was expensive. One seat of 3D software could run you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, and if you go back a couple years before 2003, $30,000, $40,000 for just one seat to be able to do anything in 3D. Computers were often just as expensive, of course. To be able to run all this stuff, you needed not off-the-shelf parts, you needed custom designs, and often the computers were as expensive or more expensive than the license itself. Now, of course, this was the years before all the online and 3D learning and Vimeo and YouTube, and the only way to really learn was to have an apprenticeship, to know someone who did this, to know them in person, to work in the same building and just like pick their brain. So if you were an interested artist, interested in 3D, just sitting in the Midwest like I was, it was very hard to get into this stuff. The software was also not intuitive. It was designed first for technicians, and it was not designed for artists up front. And somewhere around 2008, the dates can change depending on who's making this presentation, but since I'm going to call it 2008. I call it the Switch Revolution happened. And this is when, right around the time I was getting really into 3D. I started playing in Cinema 4D and other 3D packages right around 2004 or 5, but 2008 was really the time, if you were around doing motion design, that a big shift happened away from the very complex and the hard to use and the expensive software into this new world. So, of course, 3D became way more affordable, and it was often a seat would run you low thousands of dollars, even less than that as the years went on. And of course, you could also run this on traditional computing, right? Like off the shelf, you can go finally buy a Dell and back then you're buying a Dell, and get working in 3D. Online learning and the community was really picking up. So of course, the internet changed all of this, and especially YouTube and Vimeo, and the ability to put videos out online and learn really helped this. I was hooked on it. If you were around back then, we were putting up at least 2 videos a week, and by the end of this kind of date here, we had over 400 videos for free online to learn motion design. And so all of that was picking up around this time. Cinema 4D, which was our big tool of choice and really kind of led this revolution, started building Mograph tools directly into the software. So they literally called them Mograph tools. They were made for motion designers, and they did all these fun things with clones and eventually cloth and dynamics and all this fun stuff. So the tool makers were actually building tools for us directly into it. I mentioned this earlier, computers obviously got way faster and way cheaper. And GPU rendering toward the end of this date here really came along and gave us photoreal results that we could render and show our clients and just blow their minds. Of course, they were GPU accelerated. We needed all the graphics cards and a little bit of cooling to make sure our rooms didn't get too warm. But the results spoke for themselves. And I call this the Switch Revolution because that was kind of the common phrase at the time. Hey, did you switch from 3ds Max to, and why was that? Well, things were way less expensive, but they were still expensive enough to where most artists really only could use one 3D package. They couldn't jump between them, mostly because it would cost a lot. It was still hard to get into, and once you were locked in, you were kind of in that world. And when you switched away from something and into something completely new. But we are going through another revolution right now, and I know many of you have seen it. We've seen it from a little bit from the outside for us, and it's moving very quickly. A couple years ago, we started seeing a big shift. And again, we can debate on when this date started, but let's call it over the last 5 years. We started to see another giant 3D revolution happening. So a whole generation of interested 3D artists were raised in 3D. They were playing Minecraft. They were in Roblox. And of course, they were all playing Fortnite. And 3D tools and 3D navigation was natural to them. And as they got interested in 3D, many of them did, the literal tools that made those games were sitting here for free or low cost to go play with. So the revolution of free and low cost tools is now the norm. And for a whole new generation, no matter what age you are, there is this world of free and low cost tools, including legacy tools that now have low cost subscriptions that you can jump into and start learning right away, especially with all the online learning. Somewhere around this period of time, when Unreal 5 came out, there was also a big shift in the language, at least in the motion design community. We used to talk about Unreal. Unreal's always been a part of the discussion. And for many of us, the conversation went like this. Man, for a video game engine, Unreal looks really good. Hey, have you played that Forza game? For a game, the graphics are amazing. And somewhere around Unreal 5, all of that language went away, and people just started saying, have you seen Unreal? It's awesome. It looks beautiful. And all the like for a gaming engine stuff started going away. Lumen, Nanite, all the tech that they're throwing into every new version made things look better and better. And for motion designers, for many of us, trying to make it look as real as possible is part of what we've been studying our entire life. So when we see something in real time that looks as good as Unreal 5, we all start to take notice. I'm sure you guys have noticed this. I'm not teaching you guys anything new. It's looking beautiful every new version. So on top of all that, Epic is adding Mograph tools similar to the last revolution. Epic is literally adding Mograph tools inside of Unreal. Has anybody seen the Avalanche demo? Andy and the team were showing off some amazing stuff. They actually announced Avalanche 1 year ago at last Unreal Fest. And I've been doing this the whole time. And now they're into beta. And now as it approaches, we're starting to see the actual software adding tools for us motion designers. So the word switch also got replaced. I started asking people, hey, are you switching away from other software into Unreal or Blender or all these other things? And the new generation, they all go like, what do you mean switch? We don't switch. We learned it all. Like, we know all this stuff. And I realized it was now that we can use all this stuff and it's free or low cost to get into, you have amazing YouTube tutorial artists that are putting out everything they know online. And if you don't like their personality, there's somebody else right up the road that can also help engage you and get you into this stuff. With all of these things happening in this new revolution, the days of using just one 3D package for motion design is long gone. And what's replaced it is using the right tool for the job. And often we're finding from our own customers that Unreal is a major part of this tool set that people are combining together to create motion design that isn't limited by the software you use and is only limited by what you can go learn in a long weekend and your imagination. So new artists and new motion artists are not just expected to know a lot of different 3D packages, but they're also excited. None of them seem bummed out. Oh, I gotta go learn Unreal. No, they're like engaged and pumped and excited to expand their tool set so that they can make more beautiful ideas for their clients or their customers or for their boss. And so while we love Cinema 4D, and I'll always love Cinema 4D, it's my baby, it's like what got me into all this stuff, we're starting to hear from our own members, our own Plus members are asking us, hey, I play in these other software, in this case Blender. Are you guys thinking about this? We started seeing this years ago, and more as the years went on. And of course, people are asking about Houdini, and then of course, we get a ton of requests for Unreal. So our own members were asking for more compatibility, and we looked at the mission of what we were trying to do, and we wanted to help 3D artists wherever great 3D was made, and not just in one 3D package. Up until now, our materials and tools were only compatible inside of Cinema 4D. In fact, you had to install the plugin inside of Cinema 4D to even download this stuff. So we looked at, this is about a year and a half ago now, we looked at all of this and we saw this revolution coming. We talked to our own customers. And we decided then, and we've been working really hard on this, and finally excited to announce that we're actually bringing our entire library to Unreal Engine by the end of this year. So that's been very exciting for us. I know the team's been very hard at work making sure that it's looking beautiful. And I got some examples for you guys as well. We're excited to show. But now we really want you guys to bring your favorite 3D assets with you no matter where you do 3D, not just in one package. So obviously we're excited. And we're really excited to get it in your hands. If you're a Plus member, it'll just show up when it's ready by the end of the year, and you'll have full access to use all of our assets inside of Unreal, Houdini, and in Blender. So we're really excited. We've been working really hard on this. And so as all this was happening, I love teaching. If you guys know me, if you've seen any of my videos over the last 14 years now, you know I love getting in front of a camera and just sharing like stuff I'm learning as I learn it. It's some of my favorite moments is teaching, but even better than teaching is I love learning. I love learning new tools and finding out about new technology and sitting and having time to play with this stuff. So along with this big push to get our assets ready for Unreal, I also did what a lot of artists are doing, and I had to start learning Unreal Engine. So I wanted to share with you guys some of the little experiments that I've gone through, mostly to show you from somebody who's used only one 3D package, honestly, for quite a long time, some of the ways that I approached Unreal. And so I decided to make it easy on myself and take one of our most popular tutorials inside of Cinema 4D, which is this one here. This is making a cloth pillow. You saw a version of this earlier in the talk. And I literally just wanted to see if I could recreate this inside of Unreal Engine. So I went into Cinema 4D, I grabbed the scene file, and then I baked out an alembic, and I brought it into Unreal. And with a little bit of help, quite a few dumb questions from me to some other friends of mine that used Unreal Engine, I got to this point. And I know I'm preaching to the choir in this room, but when I hit play, and this happens in the actual software, and I wait 0 for rendering, it really blew my mind. I sat here and watched this thing spin around for minutes. And then I'd move my camera, and then I'd move my HDRI around, and literally just am blown away by Lumen sitting in here on an alembic file, playing back in real time in Unreal. And this blew my mind. Here's the full render. I went to, of course, learn how to export this out, not just in the playback window, and I rendered this out in 2 minutes. I know you guys are used to this. This blew my mind. This came out in 2 minutes. That was 4K, by the way. I was like, let's crank it up. 2 minutes. This is another one that I stared at. If you know me, I love taking some simple shapes and bouncing them around. I exported this out of Cinema 4D, brought it in. Same, very easy way to import this with FBX. Thank you, Winbush, for the tutorial. Cheers. What up, what up? So brought this in, brought in one of our metallic HDRIs, and hit play. And again, this popped up on the viewport, and I just got giddy. I was like scaling it up and down and moving it around. This simple little animation was one of the pivotal ones for me, where I just moved a camera, I made a light get brighter over time, and I just spun my little clump around. And again, playing back and seeing this quality was mind-blowing. I thought I would push the path tracer as far as I could and just kind of start there, because I was used to things looking really, really good in other packages. But every time I flipped on Lumen, I was like blown away, and it was real time. So it was beautiful. I want to share this with you. I always forget the name of this tab, level snapshots. So Andy and the team showed me this, and this really expanded how I started thinking about artists like you using Unreal for motion design. So anyone use level snapshots? Awesome. So this thing is amazing. I literally, so if you're not familiar, you can set up different lighting, different materials, a lot of different things. Save it as a level snapshot, and what you're seeing is me literally just pulling up a different level snapshot to change the material and lighting in real time in Unreal. And again, blew my mind. So this revolution, as I started playing with this stuff, I thought it was all about the render time. It could be oftentimes hours, sometimes days, with a traditional motion design workflow to wait for a beautiful render. And I thought it was all about hitting render and just getting this very quickly at the end of the process. The more I played with it, the more I realized the real power in this is real-time lighting and compositing and seeing it in real time as you spin a light around or spin an HDRI around or change materials. The feedback loop between having an idea and seeing it in real time is really what gave me the aha moment for how important Unreal is to this new revolution. So here's a good example. I finally paused the scene so you don't see a bunch of stuff bouncing around, but literally just rotating an HDRI around, seeing this was really, really beautiful. And it really helped me understand, okay, I can actually choose different lighting environments, choose different backgrounds, and see my thinking in real time, and that feedback loop will speed up my workflow, which is what we're all about. So this render was good. I blocked out which is which to protect the innocent. One of these is a very popular third-party renderer for Cinema 4D, and one of these is Unreal Engine. And if you guys want to look and take your guess on which is which, if you come up and talk to me afterwards, I'll fill you in, but I won't spoil the surprise. I'm amazed on how close the team got this. And this is another good example as we bring our assets and materials into Unreal Engine and other 3D packages, how close we're trying to match to what we were used to in Cinema Land. So anyone seen the recent stuff from Ash Thorpe? So I love Ash Thorpe, amazing artist. And we recently were kind of texting back and forth, and he was sharing some of his experiments in Unreal and some of his thoughts about it. And we were kind of going back and forth on how exciting it was. And in one of the messages, he said this, and I asked him if I could put the quote in here. And he said, it's the future. He was talking about Unreal. He goes, it's the future. It's the first time I use a tool where I feel fully liberated as a creative. And this hit home to me. It was that iteration process I talked about earlier. And that's when I started thinking this revolution's more than just real-time rendering. It's real-time lighting, it's real-time experimentation, it's real-time playing around with this stuff, real-time creativity. It's real-time having an idea and putting it on the screen as quick as possible. And it's real-time materials, it's real-time cinematography, so moving that camera around and seeing results right away. So I wanted to give a shout out to some of the people on YouTube that saved my butt. I'm sure I'm like many of you. When you get stuck, you go search that thing. How do I do this? And some really talented people popped up on YouTube. I want to give them a shout out. First of all, my buddy Clint, Punisher. Anyone follow him? So if you're in the Unreal and motion design and maybe like non-gaming space, Clint is doing amazing work. So not only is he making these amazing tutorials and videos, he also runs these contests where thousands of people submit animations. They pick winners, they got big prizes, and really encourages new 3D artists to pick up these tools and start playing with them, which is something I love. Also, give the shout out. Yeah, give it up. Yeah, you got the audience going. So William Fouch, so I've been debating all week. Fauché? Foucher? We'll do the vote later. William, text me, let me know. I want to say your name right the next time. Either way, thank you for all that you do. And again, a lot of the photoreal, looking at lighting, understanding the settings that you can crank up that would probably affect your video game negatively, but affect everything else positively. So I love turning to his tutorials and his videos for that to show all this new tech. You got to give it up for Wimbush. What up, what up? Sorry, Wimbush, you could charge me later for that one. I think he owns the trademark to that. Huge help, and obviously for any of us in Cinema 4D and using Cinema 4D as well as Unreal and going back and forth, huge part of helping us understand this world. So I love seeing videos from him. What a positive force in this new revolution. So Unreal Engine is getting more and more exciting for motion designers, and I wanted to share with you a little bit more stuff and work and motion design that I found that was rendered in Unreal, just to kind of like show what is possible. So this first piece here, there we go. So this is from Already Been Chewed. This is a really cool studio in Texas. And they turned to Unreal Engine for this spot for a lot of reasons. They have a breakdown, which is really good, but for one of the reasons is for how much geometry and how many things they wanted to display at once. This was slowing down in some of their other typical workflows. So they turned to Unreal Engine not just because it looks great, not just because it rendered fast, but because the literal geometry and all the foliage and all the stuff around the scene, they wanted to art direct and see it and not have to sit through the bogged down animations. So really beautiful spot. This was really beautiful. I showed a little bit of this earlier. This is from DViz. This is ArcViz render, all with Lumen, as far as I understand. And I thought this looked really beautiful. It's really a good example of ArcViz done well, using Unreal, using beautiful materials, beautiful lighting, and showing off what you could do and make it look photoreal. This next one is from Andy's presentation about some of the new things that they've been working on over at the Avalanche project, which is in beta and will be a part of Unreal soon. And he showed off some of these tools, some of the iteration and cloning abilities that you can do that are very Mograph specific. So again, the tools are being built into the software for motion designers. So this is a really good sign for us and a really good thing to remind ourselves as we start to combine these tools together. I thought this was really beautiful. Nikhil, I hope I say your name right. This was all in Lumen and Unreal. It's just really typical of like a beautiful product shot. So showing off the close-up stuff, which is something we really like to focus on as well, getting close in on your scenes without the materials and lighting breaking down. So I thought that was a really beautiful example. This was really cool. This is all Unreal Engine, and of course we're combining motion design and gaming. I just wanted to let this play out a little bit further. And I love how this artist is taking kind of traditional motion design tropes and ideas and clones and combining it with real-time feedback. So many ideas popped into my head just watching this, like literally having this on your Xbox and letting people play. It's kind of a new way to think about what motion design is, what it can be. Some more product stuff. This is Ali 3D. This is a young artist doing some tutorials as well. I thought this was really beautiful. This is all Lumen and Unreal and showing some really beautiful, simple product animation. And he also has tutorials and stuff like that. So I want to give him a shout out. This is Nafi 3D. I hope I get that right. I think this is actually a course. I thought this was beautifully done. Another good example of product animation, product viz, all done inside of Unreal Engine. It's really, really beautiful. Another one from Ali. This is less product and more of like an experience. This kind of combines ArcViz in like kind of a hotel lobby situation with rocks floating around, like stuff that it doesn't exist in the real world. Very motion designy. And then of course, some beautiful stuff. This is from the Epic Unreal YouTube channel. So there's a lot of broadcast stuff that I know many of us do. This is my first love. My first job was doing White Sox and Bulls and Blackhawks in Chicago, doing a ton of their in-game graphics. So this stuff always speaks to me. It's always fun to see, and especially now that it's Unreal and it's real time. It's just really cool to see. So wanted to show this off. So the next 3D revolution is happening now. I think we are in the middle of it. It is feeling like it's moving faster and faster every day. And after being here for the last few days and talking to many of you, hearing your stories, honestly, I thank you so much for sharing your stories on how Unreal has become a part of you and your team's workflow. I've learned a ton being here. And we're all a part of this. We're all a part of this next revolution. Unreal is a giant part of this. And we're all excited to be a part of Unreal Engine. We're so excited to see our tools in your hands. We want to see what you guys build with this stuff. And if you want to follow us, if you are not following us on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, come bug us. If you have any questions, feel free to come up after. We got Q&A here in just a second. But if you do motion design and you're at all, here's where you can find more of that. So just to wrap up, I wanted to thank Epic and Unreal for having me here. Thank you guys, for everybody who's talked to me this week. I've learned so much being here and learning from you. We're so excited to be a part of this community. And a big thank you to you guys for coming here today and going through this. Thank you.